Welcome back to the channel. Today, working on my C5, my Z06 Corvette race car. And if you've ever worked on a C5, you'll know that when you take out the subframe, it's a mess, and the torque tube, it's a massive pain in the butt because you have to lower down the back and kind of scoot out down the subframe around this little frame, this tub frame here. Tub frame looks like, no, I've got a present hiding in here. Let me get this out of the way for right now. And this little tub in there, it's used for storage, whatever you need, but I don't need any of that. What I need is I need it to be easier to take the rear subframe out of this car. And two, I need to fit this giant oil can for my new dry sump system in the car. So this is gonna eventually go right in here somewhere, but I don't need all that material. Let me put this out of the way. On my giant stack of parts, I've also got to mount this breather tank as well, and I've got a lot of other parts for the Corvette here. But today's goal is to cut this out. So I've seen a couple other people do this. They make a kit for this, Track Specs Motorsports does, but my dry sump tank is going to go right here. So normally they just kind of make this flat all the way across. However, my tank sticks down a little bit low. So what I'm going to do is just cut this out. I'm going to start with up here where that T is. I'm just going to cut along there, all the way along there. And then down here, I'm going to leave a little bit of a lip right here just so this has something to come over. There is a little bit of metal frame underneath here. So I'm going to cut along here. And I'm going to do that along the back as well. Back down here, I'm going to cut down along there. And then on the other side, similar thing over here. If you ever worked on these things, they're a lot of work. And definitely for a race car, like, I've had this thing out for the torque tube work and the transmission work, I don't know how many times now, and it is a massive, massive pain in the ass. I want to be able to just unbolt it from the front and slide it back. And yeah, my car looks like a mess. There's shit all over it. It's because engine blew up and building an LS3 to go back in it. But while I wait for some more parts for the LS3 and I need to get my oiling system mounted up, I want to cut this out of the way. It should be quick. So let's get to work. Well, it was mostly easier than I thought. So I just used a cutoff wheel with a metal cutter blade and then a bimetal blade on a multi-tool. And I was able to cut all the way around. Yeah, don't judge my cutting. I was really not trying the best. But some things you gotta worry about. When I get this out, you'll see it for sure. But you kind of see through here that those two lines right there are your brake lines. You don't want to cut those, and they're really close as you can see. There's some other little lines, I think, over on this side. That's your e-brake, but let's see if we can get out of here. So you'll get this out. So I just use that cutoff wheel and get all the big cuts. And in the corners, I use the multi-tool to cut it, and like this little bit that's going down right there. That was one of the spots. And then down here, it's the only parts that aren't like really letting go yet. I didn't want to go too deep with the blade and kind of like nick everything, so I'm just going to slowly pry it out of these sections, and whichever parts are still hooked in like that over there, I'm gonna take the multi-tool and just cut in there. So let me get that done. Key tip: if you're doing this, you want a high-powered shop vac. Get this going, and then as you're cutting, all the dust gets sucked up in here. You want to wear a mask because this fiberglass gets everywhere. And it's a huge mess. It leaves some really bad dust. So definitely having this going in the direction that the cuts are coming off makes it much, much cleaner. So, all right, let me get these bits over here loosened up and get this out of here. Well, if you cut it like I do, pull the back out first. It's much easier because then it should. Let's see if this is going to work now. I had to slide it back. These corner pieces were the sticking point. But, oh yeah. There it is. That's what a tub, that's what your Corvette tub looks like outside of your Corvette. And that's what the big hole looks like. Man, this is gonna make working on this thing so much easier. I can get to everything on top of the subframe there. All my brake lines, the lug lines. I can get to the exhaust that it's going through. And you see, this is metal and metal. You know, if you have a cage in the car, usually it mounts back in here somewhere on the top of that. Well, I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna bevel all these edges make it nice and clean. And this is a really flat, like from here to there and there, it's all flat. So you can either buy the kit from Track Spec, or maybe somebody else makes some, or you just go down to a local shop that sells aluminum sheet and get this much aluminum sheet and rib nut it in all around here, make it nice and flat. That's what a lot of people do, it looks like in the Track Spec Corvettes, but for me, I need room for a massive oil tank, which is gonna go right here, connect to this back bulkhead. So for me, I need a little bit of a hole there, but yeah, now I'm able to just slide that back when I need to get out the rear subframe and torque tube and transmission, everything, because you know that's your differential, your gearbox, and your transmission's literally right there with the torque tube going forward. Well, that's me cutting a hole in my Corvette. Hopefully you can do it too. Make it much, much easier to do maintenance on your Corvette. Obviously, if you're trying to keep a nice car, this is not how you do it. But if you have a race car, this is definitely how to do it. Super easy, just a couple tools. It's not much weight being saved. This really doesn't weigh much, especially if you put another cover back in there. I used to put ballast weight back here on and races to get me in different classes because my car's really light. So I can't do that anymore, but now I'm gonna have that big oil tank in there. It's gonna be really good. So yeah, hit subscribe, be my co-driver, catch out some more videos on this C5, other things that I'm doing to it, and maybe my next video will be the oiling system when I get the tank mounted. We'll see how that goes. But thanks for watching, catch you in the next one. See you at the next race, hopefully. Peace.